We all know the feeling. A sudden shiver down the spine, an unsettling awareness of being not quite right. It often happens in specific places we might call liminal spaces. The word liminal comes from the Latin word limen, meaning threshold. And just like a threshold marks the transition between one room and another, liminal spaces represent a space between, a transitional zone. These spaces are neither here nor there. Think of an empty school hallway after hours or a deserted airport terminal late at night. They are places we pass through, not places we linger in. This unsettling feeling is not restricted to physical spaces. Moments in time can also be liminal. Consider the period between sleep and wakefulness, or the awkward silence after someone tells a joke that falls flat. Liminality exists wherever we find ourselves caught between states, unsure of what comes next. These spaces often trigger a sense of unease or disorientation. They feel off somehow, as if the familiar rules of reality have been temporarily suspended. But why do these in-between spaces evoke such a primal reaction in so many of us? To understand why liminal spaces are so unnerving, we need to understand their defining characteristics. First, they are often characterized by emptiness or a lack of human presence. A crowded shopping mall is bustling with life. An empty one at 3 a.m. feels eerily abandoned. The absence of the familiar signs of human activity leaves us feeling exposed and vulnerable. Second, liminal spaces are often places of stillness and silence. The usual hum of conversation, the rhythmic clatter of footsteps, all the oral cues that ground us in our environment are absent. This unnatural quiet amplifies our sense of isolation and heightens our awareness of any unexpected sound, making us feel like we are being watched or listened to. Third, liminal spaces often disrupt our sense of scale and proportion. Consider the endless rows of identical office cubicles or the seemingly infinite expanse of an empty parking garage. These spaces can feel both claustrophobically small and overwhelmingly vast at the same time, creating a sense of disorientation and unease. Several factors contribute to the unsettling feeling we experience in liminal spaces. One explanation lies in our evolutionary history. As humans, we are programmed to be wary of unfamiliar and potentially dangerous environments. In the past, an empty plain or a silent forest could signal the presence of predators or other threats. This instinctual wariness lingers in our subconscious, prompting a sense of unease when we find ourselves in similar situations today, even if we know logically that we are safe. Another explanation relates to our need for control and predictability. We humans are creatures of habit. We crave order and structure. Liminal spaces, by their very nature, disrupt this need for control. They are unpredictable and unfamiliar, defying easy categorization. This lack of control can trigger feelings of anxiety and fear, especially in individuals prone to anxiety or those with a strong need for structure. Furthermore, the emptiness of liminal spaces can act as a blank canvas onto which our minds project our deepest fears and anxieties. Without the distractions of everyday life, our thoughts are free to wander, often latching onto negative or disturbing ideas. This can lead to feelings of dread, paranoia, or even a sense of being watched or followed. The unsettling feeling we get from liminal spaces isn't just superstition or cultural conditioning. There's a growing body of scientific research that suggests our brains are wired to respond this way. Neuroscientists have identified specific areas of the brain, such as the amygdala and the hippocampus, that are involved in processing fear, memory, and spatial awareness. These areas are particularly active when we find ourselves in unfamiliar or potentially threatening environments, such as liminal spaces. The amygdala, for example, is responsible for our fight or flight response, triggering the release of adrenaline and other hormones that prepare us to confront danger or flee to safety. Meanwhile, the hippocampus plays a crucial role in forming memories and creating mental maps of our surroundings, helping us navigate our environment. When we enter a liminal space, these areas of the brain go into overdrive, trying to make sense of the unfamiliar surroundings and assess potential threats. This heightened state of alertness can manifest as feelings of unease, anxiety, or even fear. In a way, our brains are tricked by the unusual characteristics of liminal spaces, interpreting the lack of familiar stimuli as a sign of potential danger. Do these places arouse curiosity, or do you create a feeling of escaping in these places?